But let's talk a bit more New Zealand. Let's move away to them. I know we're patriotic South Africans.
Yeah.
But, Rugby Aoteaora is happening. 34-32, you know, to the Hurricanes. Crazy, crazy stuff. I just want to ask some small questions about the game. You know, what I noticed, just in particular, was, you know, things like Severis picking up off the scrum a lot, you know, taking it at 8. And which I thought was something that wasn't as important in rugby anymore, you know, 8 men picking up from the back of the scrum. Is there any importance in that? Do you, you know, for Province, is Province going to look to attack from there? Or, you know, do you guys just sort of win the scrum and get it out to the backs?
Yeah, I think from a attacking perspective, as coaches, you want to look what your team presents to what the opposition's defense presents. You know, obviously you want to play a brand that's attractive to. For example, we had a motto which was "Get Cape Town smiling." So you're not going to get Cape Town smiling by being too boring. You will be winning, but you know. So you want to look at some form of enterprise. But I think, like you mentioned, the Sharks example, but they actually kick quite a lot, and with good chasers, and then obviously looking for opportunity if they get a bad kick or they challenge the kick well. So winning rugby versus playing entertaining rugby, it's quite a fine line. But just to answer your question, picking up at the base of the scrum, they have brought it back in on that side. And attacking that channel, but there's many ways to attack that area next to the scrum, okay, which is 8 picks up and gives to center to just bash it up in order to get momentum, and then from there you obviously want to play wide or come around the side and try to prevent the opposition from getting their defenders to foul. So picking up around the scrum is, I think, it's just one of their tactics that they're using. Something they're using also is peeling off the back of the line out, as opposed to just playing it out to the backs to bash it up or play wide, etc. So teams have been employing those type of tactics. Hurricanes, like you mentioned, getting their loose forwards to actually play some form of a scrum of rule in order to create better hand skills somewhere else.
You know, that's actually it's a much broader answer than I expected, you know, which is quite nice. But I think let's talk a bit more about the Hurricanes, because you did mention earlier that they have been getting better and the coaching staff's been doing well. One thing I noticed was that when the lineout started getting better for the Hurricanes, it seemed like everything else fell into place. Is that what's been happening for them, or what do you see is happening with the Hurricanes that's helping them now play at this high level basically every week?
Yeah, well, I think the New Zealand teams, to be honest, I was in the initial phases. Majority of the teams, I was a bit disappointed with their lineups, to be honest with you, in terms of their win-loss or their quality. But it has obviously gotten better. Hurricanes particularly, obviously they've got Mapu punching it up there, creating a lot of momentum. But what I found what they actually did was they were actually targeting the channel outside that midfield channel. So they've got quite a lot of line breaks. So they were actually hitting. They actually call it the blind spot of the defense, and they were targeting. When they played the Blues, they were targeting that midfield channel, and they were getting a lot of momentum and even line breaks on that channel. You must go back. I think I've got it here. I don't know if you want to share screen. I think I've got it here.
Are you able to share the screen? Let's see if we can get some highlights. Just check if you...
see, they come off the back. And then that channel. You see that channel I was talking about? If you had that midfield channel, if you had later, but timing was better. There was opportunity there. Okay, so that's just what I picked up.
So are you saying that it's not so much the line out that's making the difference? It's after that first phase, attacking that channel, that's making the difference?
I think it starts with the line out, but they seen in this game in particular, which I picked up, is that they were also targeting. You see, they were targeting the poor defenders here. You know, and there Mapu breaks again. So that's it. Let's choose the next line out. Um, you see, so it's not him running up. They're just targeting the channel right next to Mapu, because he's obviously a target and has best ball carries
Yeah.
in the entire tournament. So just
Yeah,
check
he's a
this one.
mark
There's
man.
about one or two more. There's one or two more. Bang, bang. If you actually, let me just go quickly back here. If I go, I will go other. I don't know if I've got I haven't linked the other view on this one yet. But yeah, bang, bang. You see, if you had played behind there, if you had played
There's the
behind here,
space.
there was actually a bit of space here. You see,
Yeah. If they
if you
just
had
got it
played here
out.
behind, and then they would have had an overlap, so that was just a decision making. Oh, it was preempted, but you can see there, if 10 had gone, they would have been out. Opportunity, let's just check for two more. I think I've got two more. Bang. Yeah, but that was better defense. Here's one more. Let's just check here. They played the inside option. That was actually on the outside as well. But just I think I think the timing possibly. You see, if you run a wider angle, so it's all the blind spot attack, I call it, where they hitting the blind spot because what's happening, the defender, although he's looking forward here now, their focus will be a couple of seconds from there to be on the ball, around the ball carrier.
Yeah. I think, yeah.
Say hello to Romano.
Hi, Romano.
Hey, how are you?
How you doing?
Yeah, good
You
to
well?
see you. Long time.
Hello,
Yeah, enjoying
Romano.
myself. Hey, how are you guys? You must come join the chat.
You're looking good, Romano.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Okay.
your ex-players.
Yeah. Making me a bit nostalgic, actually. I miss being out there on the Sundays. Instead of inside.
Yeah.
But you spoke about that the space being there on the outside. Do you think that's something they're going to fix next week after watching the tape, or do you want that blind side wing, that right wing, be calling for it more and communicating in the moment?
Yeah, I think the coaches could probably play a role in the game as well. Because in their coaches box they would actually have that what I showed and they have the ability to rewind and fix it. The tech coach will look at that. Obviously the opposition would also look at ways to fix it. To make sure they pick up the right attacker. So it's a chess match all the time, man.
Yeah.
But I've just noticed that the Hurricanes they've been successful hitting that blind spot on the outside center channel in particular, and they did well against Auckland in particular, getting a few line breaks, getting good momentum, and
Yeah, and I also feel like even against the Crusaders, it worked for them as well, because even Jack Goodhue, who defends every week, there's no problem with him. That week against the game, it looked like he was really struggling. But it's not that he's a bad defender; it's just that they did well for me. I don't know if you saw that as well.
Yeah. And I think also they had a bit of luck but they showed great intensity. I think great intention, great intent, great focus and concentration, and they managed to wrap it up in the end. I think all around all teams in the comp, they were learning week on week. We've been out of rugby for a while. Coaches, players have been watching rugby, and obviously the tweaks in the breakdown, etc., had its influence. If we were blowing certain aspects of the game. But in saying that, I think they've been carrying their balls quite well, quite aggressively, and getting the ball out to the nine has been quite interesting how they've gone about it.
Yeah, that's quite nice across New Zealand. So thank you for for that analysis. Let's talk a bit more about the Crusaders, because we were hyped about the Hurricanes. We looked a lot at what they did. But one thing I felt was happening with them, they played well. They always do exciting things. But I feel like we saw some weird things, like Quinton Strange getting that yellow card, near the end of the game. It wasn't very Crusaders-like. And I was talking to Tom Dawson-Squibb, who said that generally what the Crusaders do, what makes them win all the time, is that they just do their jobs perfectly every single time they just show up. Do you think that maybe against the Hurricanes, they weren't doing that and they made some mistakes here and there? Or do you think it was more that the Hurricanes really showed up?
If you're a team like the Crusaders or the Stormers, etc., you always you always have a target on your back, because teams know if they don't rock up, they'll get the 50 points. You know what I'm saying? And, it's good for a player to say they've beaten the Crusaders. Good for a coach to say they've beaten the Crusaders. And Crusaders also know that that's why they have the ability also to perform week in, week out. So that is their burden, but they take it as a responsibility as well. That's why they can do what they do well. But they also obviously do the basics very well, etc. But I think on the day, Hurricanes wanted a little bit more. I just had that sense halftime. We always try to call it halftime based on the first half, and I think they showed that they actually wanted a little bit more, And what will be interesting is to see how our Crusaders bounce back in the next game. That's going to be part of the challenge, to see how they bounce back the next game. To see if they're who they're playing next. I must check the fixtures.
Chiefs.
I checked it. Playing the Chiefs,
The Chiefs, yeah.
I'm calling it Chiefs. You can when they're playing tomorrow or next week?
No. I think it might be tomorrow, yeah, or Sunday, yeah.
Yeah, but this week, okay. I'm calling Chiefs that one.
Is it? Hey, that's a big one. Big prediction.
Yeah. Message me Sunday night. Then we'll see what happens.
Yeah, see what you have to say.
I think Crusaders will be, they'll be hectic. They'll be so hectic because they're not used to losing, and they obviously wouldn't like losing, and they'll bounce back. But I just feel that the Chiefs are, the desperation might just. Where's the game played? I didn't even check which stadium. Do you know?
I'm not sure if it's home or away for the Crusaders or the Chiefs.
I think they're playing at Chiefs, so I think message me Sunday night.
And then we'll see.
When you put on the end of this recording, Labeeb called it.
Labeeb called it. Yeah, and I think that'll be quite exciting for the tournament, because then everything just becomes tight again. I mean, you did sort of touch on, how the Crusaders will be feeling, and be motivated afterwards. I mean, generally coaching at this level, do you feel that sometimes, if you're Stormers or / Crusaders team, do you feel that you need to sort of motivate them and talk about, like, guys, we don't lose at home, something deep happened? Or do players generally bring up that motivation by themselves? Do you feel like the players at the Crusaders would understand that losing at home is not what we do, and now we've got to take it out on the Chiefs?
I think it will be a combination of both. The player individually, and as well as the coaches would be hurting and have done studies, and this is what went wrong. And you never showed attitude here, and you didn't do your technical, this, the other. But I think there'll also be a bit of peer pressure.
Yeah.
Peer pressure, like I said, there'll be, listen, what did the previous Crusaders of yesteryear, the last games, where they showed they could bounce back. And that's what being here and playing here is about. You have to bounce back. It's not an option. You have to, so that would probably be the coaches' mindset. But also, it's interesting when some coaches panic. Some coaches panic and want to change everything, whereas sometimes we just need to tweak one or two things. I think they'll tweak one or two, maybe three things. But some coaches, they panic. They get in more consultant and too many selection changes, and then it actually just snowballs and makes it worse. I think they must just stick to their philosophies and the game plans, etc., and just tweak wherever they need to tweak in order to see if they can get a better result. as opposed to making wholesale changes, etc.
Yeah,
I must say, what I've picked up of a lot of those teams that side, and you'll find a lot of youngsters in the team. What I like what they've been doing, they haven't been afraid to play the youngsters.
Yeah.
You know, they've got like 20-year-old locks playing for Chiefs. You know, that can be the excuse as well. You know, they're experimenting, and they're not afraid to rotate players and rest players. You know, and I think that's important when playing these comps, so that you need to back your players you have in your squad. You know, because otherwise you just burn out some players and you risk them getting injured, and you need to keep the players competitive as well as keep them fresh, which is very important at that level, the freshness of the player and the hunger and desire. But at the same time keeping stability. So it's quite a lot to juggle from a coaching perspective, a selection perspective.
Yeah, it's not an easy job, but you think you just do this. But you spoke about the Crusaders, who are a very winning team. And then, so when they lose, you just tweak one or two things, you don't panic. But what if you in a team that's really struggling? So, I mean, you just sort of touch on the Chiefs, you know, just sticking to their systems. But let's say you were a Sunwolves team and you're just getting beat, and you know there's some teams you can't match. And you're losing. What do you do then? Do you just sort of stick to your processes? Or how much do you try to change things?
If you let's use Chiefs maybe, or even if it's Sunwolves, I think Sunwolves are out. What's the word? They're out resourced. You know what I'm saying? The other team, they have more resources, maybe more talented players in certain comps. You know what I'm saying? In certain stage of the season, more depth, etc. It's not necessarily always coaching. I think if you're in that situation, I'm not saying that you go to lose, but I think you set yourself goals per week or per game. Not that you're going to lose. To say, listen, let's improve our breakdown success. Let's make sure our line-out success is better. Let's do better scrums. Let's make sure our launches or our starter plays are better. And obviously, defense would be a big focus, because teams are running points past you. So let's up the intensity of the tackle success rate. You know, so then you set yourself goals. You don't go in and say, guys, we're going to do two things. We're either going to lose or we're going to win. Let's go win. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
But if you're in the Chiefs setup, it's been closer. It's been closer. Yeah. It's not like them and Sunwolves who chance are that they're going to lose. I think they probably can make a couple of changes after giving everyone an opportunity, and then also doing those goals, etc. But also pushing that desire, because Gatlin is now called 007, you know. Yeah, North out of 07, you know. And I mean, it's highly rated in the world. He's coached the Lions here, so he'll be under a bit of pressure, and also his coaching team, and he needs to manage them as well. You know, again, he must allow them to grow and as well as give them opportunity and guide them, etc. And because of the players sense if a coach panics, they sense it. Might not say it, but they sense it, and then they whisper, and that also creates negativity on the field. But if they must back their positions. I say, listen, guys, we're gonna go out there. These are our goals, objectives for the game. How we're gonna play, etc. But we back you to win it. And what better way to lose a competition? They're not gonna win the competition, the Chiefs. But what better way to say, listen, but we beat the Crusaders? You know? So that would be motivation for them enough.
Yeah, that little battle. Interestingly enough, maybe I just want to point out, I don't know how much effect you had, but Tom Dawson-Squibb and Harry Fisser, who are both at UCT now, were saying the exact same thing. So at least maybe in the Western Cape, there's a little bit of consistency in the coaching, you know. I want to ask, you know, you spoke a little bit about, you know, the team being able to turn it on and motivate themselves a little bit when things start going a bit wrong in the game, you know. We saw Richie Mwanga do that, or at least I feel like. And throughout a couple of games, you know, when the Crusaders have their backs against the wall a bit, he can cook up something, you know, crazy and ridiculous. You know, I mean, do you feel that, you know, in the past or right now, you have players at the Stormers, you know, who can we can turn it on for you like that, or do you guys have more team-oriented approach to turning it on?
Very good question. Well, Anga's done it, yeah, the game when he took that quick tap, but not only the tap, but other impacts in the game. I think Aaron Smith has had the same impact on the Islanders. You know, the Islanders. I think Stormers have that type of player. I think which can do it. Herschel Janches in particular, I think he either played that had that ability. Damien Willemse. They are players when they strike, and there's a lot of talent. And Ciabello's done it in the sevens. He must just possibly get. You need to feed him more ball in open space for him to bring that type of impact. But I think our halfbacks has that ability. Tim Sweely's in Cape Town also. He's got that ability as a skillful footballer. And then in the forward, Sia Springbok captain. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
it can be inspiration to the rest of the boykies and say, listen, boys, you have to bring it. I mean, he's highly rated. The minimum Mandela in South Africa in the world. So I mean, what more do you want in your circle to say a few words and give you the ability to change a game? And there's also other youngsters as well. Salman Murat, Aaron's and them when they play, they're young, you know. And youngsters bring energy which you can't always coach or buy it at pick and play, you know.
Yeah.
They just have it.
Yeah, that's exciting. And I know even Salman Murat, while he was at Paul Boys back in the day, and even for the SA Under-20s when he was captaining, you could see that he did that. He told people, you know, it's like he grabbed them and said, hey, you know, we're doing something today. But let's talk a bit more about the Chiefs and that Blues game. You know, the game line at the show, we have a bit of an agenda. We like it when people go for polls. And I always try to tell these coaches, you know, we should go for polls at every opportunity. But we saw the Chiefs miss touch a lot, you know, and I don't want to blame Trask for, you know, missing touch and penalties. You know, sometimes Talia, you know, knocked the ball back. But I mean, in the game, you know, you're the coaching staff and you see them missing touch, you know, which is something that you really expect players to get. Do you sort of trust your player or be like, hey, just keep kicking again, you'll get it next time? Or do you want, you know, your captain to get someone else to kick for touch? You know, how would you have dealt with that situation?
So, you know, ego is not the right word, but confidence is a big thing. I think it's not nice to tell a kicker who's been training a whole week, whole year, or played for a national team and he doesn't kick well to change it. But I think it's twofold. Whether it's kicking for touch or poles, that you must also know, listen, you must concede it's my off day, and then they make that change themselves, or actually the coach usually makes it like let's change kickers. When we kickers, sometimes I feel that kickers are not getting the true distance when going for touch. So 45 meter touch kick, it's either 15 or it's 45, then it doesn't go out or dead. But those things are coach killers. I just find that sometimes, I don't know, it's also the mindset of the team or the coach or the mindset is important, because I sometimes feel teams, as in me personally, I don't know which game it was. I think it was the Highlands or the Chiefs that went for poles from quite far out. So if it goes far out and he misses it, then it affects the psyche of the kicker, especially early in the game. Whereas if you go for touch, it puts you in a nice attacking position. You can put a line out, get them all together, work on your 22 game plan, and then the teams have the opportunity to obviously score points or get another penalty closer to the line, which works on the kicker's confidence. But if you miss a touch, it can be game changers or coach killers even, because that touch could have been the difference in getting a goalable penalty or try or take the game away from the opposition or bring us closer, you know.
Yeah, it's
So
quite difficult. You know, there are a lot of things you have to think of. But I mean, Jenny, what's the province view? Is, you know, on going for polls? Do you guys generally take it game by game, or do you say early in the game go for touch, or do you say we want to get points early? You know, how do you guys generally approach kicking for polls?
I think we've mixed it up a bit. We've mixed it up. It is coaches call a lot of the time. It is coaches call, but we've also John has also from time to time left it for the captain to make the decision. They ask the kicker, listen, do you think you can do it? You know, but sometimes the coaching, or the head coach in particular, has to also have that gut to say, listen, I want to go bugger them up with a forwards man. Or listen, let's go for poles, which have a lot of national teams, so they just chip it away. You know, they go 3-6-9, they get 3 penalties, 3-6-9, then you get a breakaway try, then it's 16-0, you know, then the opposition is going to back you. So that logic also kicks in, you know. Just chip away at opposition score, chip away to move away from the score.
Yeah, I think that's also kind of what I like, that more international, slow, test matchy rugby. You know, I think I'm the one person who'll say I don't like running rugby that much, but you know, people will kill me. Yeah, I like playing it, but I like watching the slower game.
What's the first time that you touched a rugby ball?
The first time I touched a rugby ball, like in my I think it could have been about 2005 at Montessori Academy in Pretoria.
How old were you?
2005, I was 6.
Yeah. So did you practice kicking for touch, or did you practice defensive lines, or did you practice running with the ball?
No, we just ran with the ball, I suppose.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you want to grow the game of rugby among the kids or the youth, we need to try to find some way that we can get a brand out there that makes it more versatile for people to want to play the game. You know, I mean, if you get a youngster, listen, you must play rugby or football, and you encourage him, and he's watching. Okay, but where's the tries, or where's the linebacker, where's the guy stepping, etc.
Yeah.
I suppose you have to get the balance, man. You know, between stats shows that if you kick a lot, you win a lot. But, but we have to get the balance. I think we've got the responsibility for obviously commercially for television, etc., print, etc. But we also got the responsibility towards the game itself, which is to help grow it and make people want to play the game, and you have to score more tries in order to get that.
Yeah, I think on that point, I know Harry Visser brought it up when we spoke about growing the game in South Africa and improving South African rugby, even though we're at the top of the world, rugby championship and World Cup winners. He said he wants South African players to start passing left and right before they do the things I spoke about, kicking for poles, defensive lines. So would you agree with him and say, even growing the game, you know, the women's game, get the kids to start doing that, running with the ball, passing left and right. And when they're professionals or first team high school rugby players, then you start doing the other things a bit more slowly. Or do you have a different approach?
What were you doing last year this time on a Sunday afternoon for 4 hours?
we were passing left and right and coaching a little bit.
You were coaching under 15 girls, 12, 13-year-olds, A, B, and C team. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think that is definitely the approach. Get the kids playing, get them to love the game, to like the game. There's a space for tag in the very small age groups, but I think touch and the introductory, because parents globally they don't want the kids to get hurt, but if they can keep working on their passing skills especially, and play hybrid games and play sports like touch, etc. It just, I mean, you touch the ball many times in the official match. You end up, I mean, you saw the tournament. There was 64 teams at the tournament, which of 32 were girls. You know what I'm saying? And all age groups that you were involved in, and there was a lot of opportunity for players to handle. There was also competitive environment, team environment, but without the risk of getting too hurt so early on, and they could play 3-4 games a day, 4 days in a row. Automatically, they know how to operate in a team environment. And a lot of the players that I found that came out of that system, when they come into the rugby system, they already understand team culture, team vibe, what's it about to win, and then they just bring in the breakdown, line-out, scrums, and tackling aspect.
Yeah, I think that's interesting.
To answer your question, yes.
Yeah, so I think maybe you should be a little bit happy, because you big on the coaching. There's a lot of consistency that Western Province coaching, UCT kind of thing. So I think maybe you could be a bit happy with that.